We live in a world where we are increasingly seen, but rarely known. Attention is fractured, superficial, and often transactional. Yet beneath the surface of every human being is a fundamental yearning not just to be looked at, but to be perceived, truly, deeply, and personally. When someone says, "I see you," and means it, they are engaging in more than casual acknowledgement. They are activating a profound form of knowing that invites connection, meaning, and awareness. This is what makes the phrase so powerful. Not in the words themselves, but in the depth of perception they awaken. It's not about the eyes. It's about the attention behind them. When someone feels seen, they feel recognized in a way that integrates their identity with the moment. It's participatory knowing, where the observer and the observed are both transformed by the exchange. You aren't simply identifying a person in a crowd, you're opening a space in your mind where that person matters. This kind of recognition is rare, and that rarity makes it potent. The phrase, "I see you," resonates because it triggers something ancient within us. In tribal cultures, seeing someone was not a metaphor, it was survival, safety, and solidarity. To be seen was to be included, to be invisible was to be exiled. Modern society has masked this truth under layers of technology and distraction, but the psychological architecture remains the same. We remember who sees us, because seeing affirms our place in the world, and in romantic relationships, this becomes even more significant. Most people walk through life being evaluated on performance, appearance, utility, but rarely are they genuinely seen without precondition. To say, "I see you," is to step outside of judgment and into presence. You become the person who pauses in a world of rush. And in that pause, he begins to associate you not with what's ordinary, but what's meaningful. It creates a contrast in his consciousness. Most interactions skim the surface. This one digs. Most words are forgettable. These ones stay. Why? Because the brain responds to relevance, not repetition. Relevance is what pulls us in, and "I see you" is a phrase that signals deep personal relevance. It tells him, "You are more than a role, more than an image. I am aware of your interior world." And when that happens, something shifts neurologically. The amygdala, which governs emotional memory, becomes active. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, may rise. Dopamine, which tracks reward, spikes in moments of unexpected significance. In other words, his brain begins to tag you as important, not because of external traits, but because of internal resonance. What you've done is bypass the normal filters of casual engagement and activated a different level of cognition. He doesn't just remember you. He recalls how he felt when he was with you. This feeling of being perceived and accepted is one of the rarest and most desired human experiences, and it doesn't require grand gestures. It only requires presence. You must mean it when you say it. Tone, posture, and context all matter. But when genuine, the phrase, "I see you," becomes a powerful intervention in a distracted world. It interrupts the automatic and makes room for the authentic. It creates a break in the mental noise, and in that break he places you. Not because you demanded it, but because you evoked something meaningful. You gave him a sense of identity, not just attraction. You saw his depth, not just his surface. And in doing so, you invited him to be more than he normally allows himself to be. That invitation lingers. It stays in the mind long after the moment has passed. And he thinks about you. Not out of compulsion, but out of quiet reverence. Because you became the mirror in which he felt most human. You became the memory that returns when the world feels empty. This is not about manipulation or charm. It's about awareness, intention, and a kind of cognitive intimacy that is rare but unforgettable. Saying, I see you, is an act of presence that awakens presence in the other. It is participatory knowing in its purest form, where words become bridges and attention becomes affection. Every moment of our experience is shaped by filters, layers of cognitive prioritization that determine what we notice, what we ignore, and what we remember. These filters are not flaws, they are necessary adaptations. We live in a world overloaded with information, and the brain must constantly decide what matters. This process, often unconscious, is known as relevance realization. When someone hears a phrase that pierces through those filters and triggers emotional and cognitive resonance, it leaves a lasting imprint. That's what makes certain words unforgettable. It's not that they're louder or more poetic, it's that they are more relevant to the core of the person hearing them. The phrase, I see you, operates at this level. It bypasses surface level noise and enters into the space where attention is governed by meaning. When spoken sincerely, those 3 words do more than express recognition. They activate the relevance machinery in the brain. They bring a person into focused awareness, into the foreground of consciousness. This is why someone might think about you all day after hearing them. You didn't just say something, they felt something. The relevance of a message is not static, it is relational. What is relevant depends on context, timing, and the emotional state of the person. If someone feels unseen or emotionally starved for connection, a phrase like, I see you, becomes magnified in its psychological effect. It becomes a signal that says, this moment matters. You matter. And once the brain tags something as mattering, it returns to it, revisits it, replays it. This is how cognitive salience works. It's not just about memory, it's about meaning assigned through emotional weight and personal resonance. Words that activate this process become mentally sticky. They aren't rehearsed, they're relived. And that repetition isn't something you cause directly. It's something the person does involuntarily because of how deeply the phrase aligned with their unspoken needs and unresolved longings. So many of our conversations are automatic. We say what we're supposed to say. We repeat social scripts. But every once in a while, someone says something that feels unscripted and alive. Something that seems to cut through the fog of normal interaction and land in the heart. That is what I see you can do when delivered authentically. It creates what could be called a relevant spike, an unexpected increase in salience that prompts the mind to reorganize its attention. Suddenly, you are not background noise. You are foreground awareness. The person hearing those words starts to associate you with clarity, comfort, and coherence. You become the person who made them feel visible. And because relevance realization is recursive, it builds upon itself. Each time they recall the moment, the emotional impact deepens. It becomes easier to think about you because the mental pathways are reinforced through repetition. This is not about obsession. It's about meaningful imprint. There's a kind of intimacy that forms when someone says something that matches our internal state more accurately than we can describe ourselves. We often do not know what we need until someone gives it to us. And when someone gives us language that speaks to our soul, we become bound to that memory. It lives inside us as a moment of coherence in a world of confusion. That's the power of saying the right thing at the right time, not as strategy, but as sensitivity. Relevance realization isn't just cognitive, it's emotional, spiritual, embodied. It draws from everything we are. When you say, I see you, With presence, you offer a person a kind of psychological mirror. In that reflection, they see not just your attention, but their own worth. And the mind is drawn to anything that affirms worth. This is why he thinks about you. It's not that you inserted yourself into his mind. It's that you revealed something within him that was waiting to be acknowledged. That acknowledgement creates a feedback loop. It reinforces the value of the moment and the value of the one who gave it. And in that loop, memory becomes not just stored, it becomes treasured. So those three words, simple as they are, function as a key, not to manipulation, but to mutual recognition. You say them not to be remembered, but to remember who the other is. And ironically, that is what makes you unforgettable. Language is not just a tool for transmitting facts, it's a medium for shaping perception, constructing meaning, and creating connection. The words we choose and the way we deliver them have the potential to reach into another person's salience landscape and shift the contours of what they experience as meaningful. When you say something like, "I see you," you are not merely communicating data. You are inviting the other person into a space of shared intentionality. You are asking them to join you in a moment where attention becomes reciprocal and presence becomes mutual. This invitation, when received, activates a sense of psychological closeness that can linger far beyond the initial exchange. One of the key features of memory is that we remember what feels emotionally charged, socially significant, or personally relevant, by saying something that resonates on multiple levels. Cognitively, emotionally, relationally, you create a multidimensional impression. This is why certain phrases become unforgettable, not because they are complex, but because they resonate with something already stirring in the listener's inner world. The phrase, "I see you," does exactly this. It taps into a deep human longing to be recognized not just as a physical presence, but as a full person with thoughts, emotions, dreams, fears, and inner depth. When this phrase is offered sincerely, with embodied presence and genuine tone, it transcends the level of ordinary communication and becomes what could be called an act of shared salience. In that moment, your mind and his mind align, not just in content, but in concern. You are both attending to something that matters, and that shared focus becomes a bonding experience. This is why someone will think about you all day after such an encounter. It's not because the words themselves are magical. It's because the experience of mutual awareness created a peak moment, and the mind instinctively returns to peak moments to derive continuity and coherence. Human beings crave meaning, and when a conversation or an interaction delivers it, we naturally reflect on it. We chew on it. We revisit it as if trying to extract more nourishment from it. So when you say, "I see you," you are effectively planting a seed in his salience field. That seed grows as he continues to reflect on the emotional resonance of the experience. And because it is not easily replicable, because so few people speak from that place of grounded presence, you become associated with something rare and valuable. You are not competing for attention through noise. You are creating attention through depth, and the deeper the moment, the longer its echo. The phrase becomes a kind of cognitive anchor, grounding his thoughts in something that feels both emotionally safe and intellectually stimulating. You're not just memorable, you're meaningful. This distinction matters. We often try to be noticed by being impressive or novel. But what truly sustains presence in someone's mind is meaning. Meaning endures where novelty fades. When someone feels that an interaction has touched them in a way that aligns with their deeper self, they will naturally revisit it. And when they revisit the moment, they revisit you. This cycle doesn't require effort. It unfolds naturally. It is the result of psychological attunement, emotional openness, and linguistic precision, all of which are captured in a moment when you choose to say, "I see you," and mean it. This is what makes language sacred, not because of the sounds or symbols, but because of the human connections it can generate. Every word is a bridge, and some bridges are walked across again and again because of what they allow us to access. When you create a shared moment of salience, you offer not just a message, but a memory. Not just a phrase, but a presence. That presence lingers because it gave him something the world rarely offers. A sense of being truly seen, understood, and valued. And when someone gives us that, they stay with us, whether they're physically near or far away. So, when you say those 3 words, do not say them to be clever or strategic. Say them to reveal your own awareness, to extend a moment of truth, and to generate shared meaning. In doing so, you will not only be remembered, you will be felt over and over again as the one who saw him when no one else did.